Well, I think it's important to understand the context of why I would call for that. If you think about regulatory authority generally, it's really bifurcated between oversight authority and enforcement authority. The CFTC only has enforcement authority over spot trading, which is what we would consider the cash markets for the exchange of virtual currencies. We don't have oversight authority. That's kind of a hole in the law, a lack of jurisdiction. And in advance of Congress making a decision as to who should regulate spot platforms for virtual currencies and how, I would suggest that the community come together and try to form some type of independent oversight regulatory body that has teeth, that can enforce some rules to add credibility to the marketplace.
And not to get into the weeds of how bureaucracies work, but for the average American out there who isn't familiar with Washington, if you had oversight authority, that means you could do preemptive rules, right? You don't wait for somebody to break a rule and then prosecute, so to speak. You come up with preemptive rules even before there's something to deal with.
That's exactly right. Enforcement authority is after the fact, after fraud's been committed, we go and we investigate, we prosecute. Oversight authority is exactly as you say. It's preemptive. It's registration requirements. It's data and record-keeping requirements. It's cybersecurity protocols, consumer protection platforms.
Right. Brian, I'm Bill Griffith. I'm the resident skeptic on the desk here when it comes to cryptocurrencies. Now, I realize that to self-regulate, if you want the SEC stepping in there, that's going to squelch creativity and free thinking and all those things that the new market people would want. But at the same time, though, regulations by the SEC would lend a kind of credibility that I think that business, that industry lacks right now. What do you think?
Well, I think some type of regulation is good. I think regulation can add to market credibility, and I think the participants in these markets want a credible marketplace. Unfortunately, we all have to follow the statute and our laws. And if securities are traded on an exchange, then that exchange has to be registered with the SEC. However, if commodities are traded, the CFTC only has jurisdiction over the exchanges that trade derivatives on commodities and not on the platforms that trade physical commodities. So there is no oversight currently in the regulatory scheme for these platforms.
Commissioner, officials at the SEC have expressed some skepticism about even calling these marketplaces exchanges. In fact, that's been one of the reasons people thought that cryptocurrencies were weak today, that essentially this idea of calling this an exchange may give the impression to investors that it is regulated or does have some kind of more formal oversight and sanctioning. So is that a concern? Is that one area that you would like to tighten up?
I think that's exactly right. I think that everyone that trades these products needs to know that there is no federal oversight over these platforms. And I would agree with the SEC that I think some type of federal oversight is a good idea. Ultimately, it's for Congress to decide that, and we'll have to wait to see what they decide.
You delineated this a little bit already, but if you could expand, what does the cryptocurrency world have to do right now in terms of doing self-regulation, therefore to avoid Washington stepping in and doing it for them?
Well, I don't want to say that self-regulation or any type of entity that the crypto exchange, crypto platform, crypto community could develop would ultimately preclude the government from coming in. But I think there's going to be some type of gap between now and whenever Congress makes that decision. And it would behoove the industry and it would add credibility to the marketplace for the community to form some type of independent regulatory body that has teeth, that has some type of enforcement and punitive powers to add credibility to the marketplace and protect investors. I think that's good business.
All right. I don't even know if all these guys know each other. I mean, it's a very strange, diverse community, but maybe they're
having
coming
a summit,
together.
though.
They are
well,
having
it is. It's a young market.
It is a young market. That's
sure.
one way to put it. Thank you, Mr. Quintenz. It's good to have you on.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.